One of the things I like the least is speaking in front of people. That's one of the reasons I almost didn't do something like this, because you get nervous. To hear your story is heartwarming. So thank you. Hey, when I started in something like this, I started out, I was in the banking business and the property and casualty business. My partner and I had the largest property and casualty agency in our little town and in a bank. But this changed my life when a guy walked in and said, you know, you're fishing with a pole. I'll show you how to fish with a net. And it was the money that attracted me initially. I saw he made $80,000 a month. And I was intrigued because I've been working my tail off and I got to $65,000 a year. And that's pretty good back in the early 80s. So I was intrigued. So when I jumped into this, I had no idea it had nothing to do with selling insurance. It was everything about building the proper relationships with people and helping the people that were scared to death of selling, how they could build other people to become successful and giving them the vehicle to accomplish their dreams in their life. And it was tough for me because all I knew was insurance guys. And they beat the heck out of me about, why are you doing that? And I said, and they didn't get it. And so once I got it and I understood it, they told me all I needed to do was build 7 to 10 key people, which was guys doing about $10,000 a month. In our business, that's 2 or 3 sales, which is pretty easy. And I could become financially independent and make all kind of money. Well, so I started out kind of slow, selling a lot, but I had to stay part-time for 11 months because I owned that agency. Then my 11th month, I made more money in 1 month than I'd made a year after 15 years running an agency with 11 full-time people working for me. So to say it changed my life, and still to this day, people don't really know what I do because they didn't give me the time to listen. And that's okay with me because plenty of people did. And we built a company, Petro and I, we sold it for $47 million. We gave 2/3 of it to the guys that helped us build it. I was going to quit and fish the rest of my life. I enjoy that. And he called me, said, you need to go back to work. I said, why? He said, you're going to miss a wave. Petro's a surfer, so I kind of got it. And I said, okay. So the reason I'm telling you this is when he told me that, our residual income had gotten down fairly low, and I had to prove to myself I could do it again at 65 years old, which isn't easy. And so to do it again, I told my wife, we've got to get uncomfortable. And so we moved out of our nice place. We moved out to California because I wanted to be around people that understood the crusade about what we're doing, and I could interact with them because there was nobody in Houston except me. So we moved to San Diego, and we worked out of the office. Bill had out there for 2 years, and I did nothing but get on the phone and didn't stop calling people for 2 years. And the reason I'm saying that is the first guy I called was Al Carty. And Al was coming out of a corporate situation, but I knew you know when people have what it takes, right? You know when they got the goodies. And Al had it. He was in the wrong vehicle, and he knew he had made more money in financial services than he had ever made before. I just needed to get him back. And so Brian and I started talking, Al and I started talking to Brian Daly. So I want to say thank you to all of you guys because that's what helped me launch my career again. So thank you very much. Because together, so the first guy I recruited, I'm living in California, he's in Rhode Island. Talk about long distance stuff, right? So then, Wayne Womack, who's been with me for 20 or 30 years, he was our top sales guy for years. Wayne said, Bloom, I want to be a builder. I said, okay, let's start calling some people. So we did. So Al and Wayne, thank you for helping me launch my career again. And hopefully you're happier now because you have residual income. You have 6 figures coming in without having to write anything. Right. And to me, that's a joy. Having money coming in without having to do anything for it is like having an oil well in your backyard. I just became greedy and wanted a lot of little oil wells. So saying all that, I've been in a room before when a guy stood on the stage, which was an ex-coach. After I read their prospectus, I said, this is crazy. The company's run by a bunch of school teachers, coaches, firemen. People like this are going to go build a company and sell it? It didn't make sense, but it was the largest stock offering in the history of Wall Street at that time. And there's a lot of guys became multimillionaires. The guy that recruited me was a policeman. He was worth over 100 million last I knew. So don't take this thing serious because this is a much bigger deal. I've been in business for a long time, since 1970. I've had banks, I've had S&Ls, I've had other businesses. There's nothing like this because there's not another crusade like this where we can help this many people. The products are going to sell themselves. So it's not about the products. It's about building a team. So anyway, I want to say thank you again to the team in the Northeast for what you've done. You kind of helped us launch this thing again because when we started, you got to remember something. That's the power of this business. And to jump back in, I know that there's people in this room that can do what I did times 10. I know that. I know who you are. It's just the fact that will you stay the course? Developing successful people. Now look, Al Carty, the first year, 90% of his income came off his own pen. Second year, 60%. Third year, maybe 10%. Today, it's 0. I mean, he comes in at the crack of noon. I like that. I train people how to come in at the crack of noon. He's wearing Bermuda shorts and flip-flops like I wear. People come into our office, we're trying to recruit, and they freak out. They're not even here. It's lunch. That's when they get in. See, I take a lot of pride in that because he's living the quality of life. He goes to every one of his kids' games. He doesn't miss anything. And he's making more money than he wanted a week now of other people's efforts that he got in there, and he works his tail off to get it going. Does that make sense? That's the grand vision, is you becoming as successful as you want to be. Now, I know a lot of you may say, I don't want to pay that kind of price. That's fine. But let me tell you something. It's like what Dave Reed just said. It's like having a judge sitting in front of you saying, look, you're going to have a life sentence in prison, or you can have 5 years hard labor. Which would you take? Well, I picked the 5 years hard labor, and it didn't take 5, it took 3.5. And I started with 2 people, Al, Brian, Wayne, and today our company has got 35,000 people in it, and you hadn't seen anything yet because we've got some guys we're hiring now, and hopefully you will learn this business is about a sense of urgency. There's some of you in this room that we set in a company that started with 80 people that ended up with 1 million people, and we got better everything. And we have real equity ownership in this thing. They had 0. That guy became a billionaire. We got zip. And that's how it goes in the industry, right? And if you think this isn't a powerful deal, it's extremely powerful. So what I'm trying to tell you is this is a vehicle for average and ordinary people and extraordinary people, Teresa, who are looking for their vehicle to get their family where they want to go. This isn't about just making a bunch of money. This is about saving a bunch of it. Because let me tell you, this thing ought to be about financial independence. Right. See, it's not any fun to make a lot of money and end up with none of it, right? I've done that. Don't regret not sticking your toe in the water. Don't do that. When I was growing up, when you messed up, the parents used to give us castor oil. And I learned real quick I was going to gulp it, not sip it. So you got to become a gulper in this thing, and you got to get after it. And the reason I say sense of urgency is because there's so many dream killers out there in our society. If you don't get them going quickly, somebody's going to kill their dream. And usually it's in their own family, isn't it? You know, their parents' thinking may be so ancient they can't think of a real opportunity when they see it or understand it. So our job is to help build successful people through our system. Not everybody's going to do it. And look, that's good. Because if it was for the privileged few, the smart, the people that were born with the silver spoon, all that kind of smart people, we wouldn't have a chance. Because I had a PE degree after 5 years in a 4-year school, I got out, I didn't get a job. My first job interview I had was with Shell, and they laughed at my resume. You got to be kidding me. See, student, so I got in the construction business. I was framing apartments, and then the local banker said, hey, we'd like you to come back in our community and work at the bank. So from there, I met the PNC people, did that. So they gave me a chance. But that chance was small in comparison to this chance. So I want you to think this weekend, maybe get off to yourself when we close the meeting. Get off and see how bad you really want to do this. We're going to give you the formulas. I do 3-way calls all day with people, but that's the easy part. Recruiting is easy. Getting in the trenches and working with them and getting them productive. So please go get your piece of it. Thank you for being here this weekend.